Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another World of Warcraft Beginner's Guide video. Today is actually going to be the last video in my series, so we're stopping it at 9 videos all together in the playlist. Today we're going to be going over a bunch of World of Warcraft terminology, lingo, abbreviations, all that stuff so that you'll be able to understand what people are saying as you're talking to them, whether it's in trade chat, in a dungeon, a party, or anything, just so that you'll have an idea of what it means and the context that you would use it in. But I hope that you find it helpful, and if you have any questions, let me know, but let's get into the video. So let's go over some super simple chat channel stuff. The first one is to say something, which by default when you press enter you will already be in this channel, but if you're not you can get back to it by typing /s or /say, and this will just type a message nearby that anyone close by such as this player would be able to see. The next one is to yell something, which you can do by /y or /yell, and you can see that there's a different color and all the chat channels will have different colors as well. So this one will yell out, we're just going to say for the Alliance, so it's not super weird, but this one goes out I think 300 yards, so it's a good one if you want to like call out for help. Maybe if you're about to die, maybe someone will come to your rescue, or it's just good for kind of role-playing purposes, like for the Alliance, someone said yeah, I think, replying to me. The next few ones that I'm going to show you, I can't really demonstrate because I'm not currently in a party or in a guild, but the next one for party chat is /p or /party, and this would allow you to chat with your group. So say if you were grouped up with your friends, or if I was grouped up with my husband, that's how you would be able to speak in party chat, and it would only be seen by anyone in your party. The next one is kind of similar to party, but it's /I for instance chat. This would be used for if you were in a dungeon group, like a random dungeon, or if you were in a battleground or a raid, and everyone within your instance group would be able to see these messages. And this is different than party chat. Again, as an example, say if my husband and I, which is 2 people, were in a party, and then together we were like, hey, let's do a random dungeon. Once we go into the dungeon, we'll be paired up with 3 other players. We could still privately talk to one another in party chat, just between my husband and I, and if we wanted to talk to the rest of our group, we would have to go into instance chat. So you can kind of have your 2 separate chats that way. The next one is to whisper someone, which is like private messaging another player. You can do this by /w or /whisper, or /t or /tell, and then followed by the player's name. But another way you could do it is click on a player and right-click them and click whisper, and it'll pull up the whisper window, and I could say something to him and it would just privately go to them. And then the next one following off of whispering, if they reply to you, you could easily just type /r and it will automatically reply to whatever the last whisper message that you got was. So that's another kind of easy way to access it. And then the next chat channel, which is a pretty important one, is general chat, which you can get to by going into /1, and this will allow you to communicate across a zone. So right now we are in Elwyn Forest, so if I wanted to say something like, hey, is anyone on this quest? And then you can also, on this topic, you can link a quest into the chat by shift left clicking, and it'll put the quest into the chat, and I could send that message. And then the next one, which is like general chat, is trade chat, which you actually need to be in a city for, so I'm going to head over to a city to show you. Okay, so now that we are within the city, we now have access to trade chat. It actually kind of popped up here. You can see that we've entered the channel, general Stormwind, and trade city for Stormwind. So trade chat is a really popular one. It actually allows you to talk across all the cities. So even though we're in Stormwind, if I was to put a message here, someone in Ironforge could see it, for example. The next one I wanted to talk about is some emotes that you can do in World of Warcraft. I won't be going over all of them, but I will give you some examples so that you know you can have fun with emotes. So there's 2 different ways that you can do emotes, is to just type /whatever you want to do. So for example, we could put /dance, and my character will start to dance, and all of the different races and genders has a different dance than the Night Elf female, and so have fun checking out what they all do. Then some other ones are like /wave or /train to do a choo-choo train. So these are just some examples, but another way that you can get to it is if you go over here to this little bubble, and there's actually access to some of the ones that I went over. You could just click on that and it'll just put you into the party chat. So if you ever have a hard time remembering, like, what did I have to type again to get there? You can quickly access guild chat, yell, any of that stuff here. But this is also another way to emote something. So instead of having to type it, or if you're just curious what other ones there are, you can just go ahead and click on them and just sort of browse them and see what all there is that you can do. So with that, we're now going to move into some trade chat lingo and just other kind of super common World of Warcraft lingo. So the first three that I have are all kind of similar, so I'm going to group them together. There is want to sell, want to buy, and want to trade. These ones are obviously pretty self-explanatory, like I was mentioning earlier. If I had an item I was looking to sell, or maybe a good piece of gear, I could put WTS, want to sell, and then link that item. Or if I was looking to buy an item, say if I needed materials to do something, I could put want to buy this, or sometimes it's like a piece of gear or something that you're seeking, or want to trade. So there's a bunch of different examples, and usually people will do that in the trade chat channel, which is again /2. And then the next ones that I'm going to group together is LFR, LFG, LFM, and Pug. So again, super self-explanatory. If you're looking to raid, you could say looking for raid and then say the raid that you're looking for. Or if a group was looking for more members for a raid, they would say something like looking for more whatever raid they need more members for. And then Pug means pickup group, which most commonly is used in this pre-made group filter, which is where you can list that you're looking for groups for stuff and kind of like apply to join those groups. And it's just kind of means like just kind of pre-grouping up with other random players. The next two are BOP and BOE, which are bind on pickup and bind on equip. And this is for items, usually rare items, like this one, for example, which is green. You can see it says binds when equipped. So this means right now I could go sell this on the auction house if I would like to, or if I equip it, it will say equipping this item will bind it to you. And if I do that, now I can no longer sell that item on the auction house, and it has become soulbound. And then there's other items where as soon as you pick them up and as soon as you loot them, you can't sell them. They've already become soulbound. The next one is AH, which means auction house, which is obviously just a short form for the auction house. Another common one is mats, which means materials. This would be something like if you had a certain item that you wanted crafted, because there's professions in World of Warcraft. So I could say something like, looking for a blacksmith to craft this item, my mats, meaning my materials. I have all the materials to craft the item. The next one is BIS or BIS, which means best in slot. This isn't really relevant for low levels, but say if you were a max level character, it would mean whatever is the best possible item for that slot. So say example, the hand slot. If I had the best in slot item, it means it doesn't get any better than that. I have the best item equipped. And the next one, while kind of on this topic, is eye level, which means item level. As you can see, these gloves say item level 16. Again, not super relevant for low level, but when you're higher level, your eye level is super important. And also we have an average of our item level, so all of these different item levels that our gear has, it averages it out to our overall item level. So at high level, that's like really important. I don't even know what is good right now, but for example, you'd see people in chat being like, eye level 450 druid looking for group, and it's kind of a good way to show how good your eye level score is. The next one is Xpac, which means expansion. You'll usually hear players talking about expansions like, oh, the Legion Xpac. So that's what that means. Next is NPC, which means non-player character. That's any character like this one, for example. This is not a real player. They are just a NPC that's just in the game, and he's just gonna stand there forever and do his thing. Or same with this one. This is a quest giver, so he's a non-player character. Another one that you might sometimes see is FP, which means flight path. So I'm actually running over to the flight path guy right now. Someone might say like, oh, did you get the FP yet? Like, do you have that flight path? As you can see, I just discovered that one. I'm gonna go AFK while I'm on the FP. So I'm gonna go away from keyboard while I'm on the flight path, because the flight path is like an automated flying thing. The next two I'm going to group together, and they are PvE and PvP for player versus environment and player versus player. So these are two different types of content essentially. There's also used to be different types of realms. There was PvE realms and PvP, but now they've gotten rid of PvP realms and there's just war mode on or war mode off. But PvE is basically player versus environment, such as player versus a dungeon, player versus a raid. PvP is player versus player, so where you're fighting the other faction. Next one is Xmog. This means transmog, which is just short for how you can transmog your gear, such as I'm on my transmog mount right now. Technically, it's transmogrify or the transmogrification guy that you can go talk to, but everyone just calls it transmog or Xmog for short. So an example is someone might see you and say, wow, I really love your Xmog, or where do you get that Xmog? Something like that. And the next one, which I probably could have grouped with the PvP one I just did, is BG, which means battleground, which is a player versus player thing that you can queue up for. There's specific battlegrounds such as Warsong Gulch, Arathi Basin, Eye of the Storm, and it's all just different maps with just different objectives for you to fight against Horde versus Alliance on a battleground. Next one is DC or DCed, and this means disconnected. So this might happen sometimes if you're in a dungeon and all of a sudden you'll see like a little kind of lightning bolt on a character, and it means that they've disconnected from the game. So if you lost internet or something like that, your group would be like, oh, she must have DC'd, she disconnected from the game. Or you might come back from disconnecting and be like, sorry, I DC'd. Another two that I'm going to group together is main and alt, and this is a reference to your characters. So main means whoever your main character is. So for me, I have my hunter. She is max level and I love my hunter. Her name is Sylvanas, and she's my main character that I always play. I'm always on her the most. So everyone will have kind of a main character. And then alt is just basically any of your other characters that isn't your main. So even WoW Noob that I'm on right now, she is an alternative character. Okay, so I feel like we just went over a ton of words in the category of trade chat, and now I'm going to move on to some simpler, easier categories, and I'm just going to rocket fire them off real quick so we can get through it because I have another big category to get in after that. Starting with some abbreviations for races. BE/B-Elf is Blood Elf, Cow is Tauren, NE/N-Elf is Night Elf, UD is Undead. And now for classes. DK is Death Knight, Boomkin is Druid, Pally is Paladin, Lock is Warlock, DH is Demon Hunter, Shamis or Shami is Shaman. And now for some cities. SW is Stormwind, IF is Ironforge, Darn is Darnassus, Exo is Exodar, Org is Orgrimmar, UC is Undercity, TB is Thunderbluff, SMC is Silvermoon City, Dal is Dalaran, Shat is Shatrath, and now for some expansions. Vanilla/Classic is the original version of WoW before any expansions were added. BC or TBC is the Burning Crusade, WOTLK is Wrath of the Lich King, Kata is Cataclysm, Mop is Mists of Pandaria, WAD is Warlords of Draenor, BFA is Battle for Azeroth, and DF is Dragonflight. And now moving on to another pretty big section, which is dungeon lingo. The first one is dot, which means damage over time, and it's basically any ability that does damage over time to a target, such as corruption, which is a warlock ability, and it will continue to do damage over a set amount of time. The next one is hot, which is heal over time, and a good example is regrowth, or rejuvenation that a druid can do, and it will heal over a set amount of time. The next one is AoE, which means area of effect, and it's any spell that does damage in an area, such as Blizzard for a mage, which casts a blizzard storm and does damage in an area. The next one is res, which means resurrect, and I got a volunteer to die for me so I could demonstrate resurrecting someone on my priest. So thank you very much to Pride Claw for the fearless demonstration. CD means cooldown, and it's any ability's cooldown timer that it has. So commonly people will say something like, oh, my ability is still on CD. Next is which means out of mana, and that means you don't have enough mana to cast spells anymore, and usually this means you need to sit down to drink some water to regenerate your mana. Next is LOS, which means line of sight. So let's say if I was a healer and this NPC was one of my party members, right now he is in my line of sight, but say if I were to be around the corner from him and if I tried to heal him, he's now out of my line of sight and I wouldn't be able to cast an ability on him. And same if he was an enemy that I was trying to attack, if he's out of my line of sight, I won't be able to cast an ability on him. Mobs and trash are the same thing, and it's the enemies that are in dungeons, usually standing between you and the boss, so they're littered all in between leading up to bosses, such as the ones you can see here. And the other one is Pats, which basically means patrol, and it is a mob or trash that walks/patrols an area, such as this one here. So sometimes someone in your group might say, watch out for the Pats. Next is CC, which is crowd control, which is usually like a slow or a root or a cage or something like that. And a good example is polymorph for a mage, which turns an enemy into a sheep. And this is something that you'll typically do in a dungeon or raid to make it easier to take on a group of mobs. So instead of having to take on 2 or 3 at a time, you can eliminate one and have them crowd controlled while you deal with the other one. Lock candy/cookies refers to warlock healthstones, which they can provide to their group in a dungeon or raid, which you can use to heal for a certain amount of health. Aggro basically means that you have an enemy on you, or right now these have been aggroed onto me and I currently have their aggro. This is commonly used with like tanks in a dungeon or a raid, and they need to have the enemies aggroed onto them, and it's their job to keep their threat up so that the enemies stay attacking them. But it can also just be commonly used with like, hey, go aggro that mob, or go pull that mob, or you have aggro on you. It basically just means a target is attacking you. Lust, or BL, basically the same thing. It's short for Bloodlust, and Bloodlust is a shaman ability which basically affects your whole dungeon or raid group and increases your haste by 30%. It's basically like an empowering spell that makes you attack faster and do a lot more damage. Mages also have a version of Bloodlust, and it's called Time Warp. It does pretty much the same thing, just a different name, and the Alliance has something called Heroism instead of Bloodlust, but basically you would click it and your entire raid would get all big and start attacking faster and doing more damage. And now I'm just going to go over a few more words that I can't really demonstrate because I don't want to get into a raid or anything to show you, but I can quickly explain them. So the first one is nuke, which basically means just kill as quickly as you can. You'll kind of hear groups say this like, oh, just nuke the boss, just kill him real quick. It kind of means like don't even really worry about the mechanics, just nuke him down. The next one is wipe, which means your entire group has died, your whole raid group or the whole dungeon has died, and sometimes your group might even request you to wipe on purpose. Say if like half of your group is dead and the fight isn't going very well, they'll just be like, just wipe, let's just start all over again. The next one is stack, which basically means just stand on top of each other to absorb an attack usually, so you'll hear something like stack on tank or stack on boss. The next one is soak, and it basically means to soak damage of something. Maybe it would be like a glowing pool or some kind of bad magic area, and it basically stops the whole group from wiping. It might be something where if it only hits one player, it would one-shot them and kill them, but if multiple people stand in it, the damage is like dispersed amongst multiple people. AFK means away from keyboard, and it's something that you can say if you're gonna step away from your keyboard for a little bit. You could let your group know like, hey, I have to AFK for a second, someone's at the door, or something like that. And you can also type /AFK and it'll say that you're away, just so that anyone nearby would know like, hey, she's away from her desk right now. And the very last one that I have on the list is bio, which means restroom break. I've honestly never really understood this one, but I'll see it a lot in dungeon groups where someone will say BRB bio, and I don't really know why bio means restroom break, but it's just a quick, easy way. You can just say bio in chat and people will know that you have to go use the restroom. Yeah, so that is all the terms that I have for you guys today. I tried to get in as many as I could. I took out a few that I thought weren't like super necessary. and just trying to like shorten the video a little bit where I could. But I am going to link below the website that I used to gather up all of these words to make sure I didn't leave any out or anything. So if you want to refer to that as kind of just a quick way to just scroll and find words and remind yourself what they mean. And thank you again so much for watching, and we're going to say bye from my main character, Sylvanas, my hunter. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and this concludes my World of Warcraft Beginner's Guide series, at least for now. I'm actually going to be making some changes on my channel, so if you're interested in that, stick around for the last minute or so here. Basically, my channel has been a mess of World of Warcraft content and also just like me content, whether that be hair and makeup or fashion or just chit-chatting and all that stuff. And through doing these World of Warcraft Beginner's Guide videos, I've realized that I think it's time to split my channels up. So I'm actually going to be making a brand new channel that I'm going to call Lady Survival WoW, which is actually my Instagram handle. So I'm going to keep this channel as Lady Survival and start a brand new one called Lady Survival WoW, and I'm going to be splitting up my content, and all of my World of Warcraft stuff is going to be moving over there. So I'm actually going to be like taking down videos from this channel and like just privating them and re-uploading them over on the WoW channel to get everything kind of established, and any future World of Warcraft content I'm going to be putting over there as well. I'm going to be doing another video, probably my next upload on this channel, officially addressing this big change, because it's kind of crazy. I did technically start this channel as a World of Warcraft thing back in 2012, and then it just kind of evolved into just whatever I wanted it to be. I was actually talking to Akalon, who's another World of Warcraft content creator, and he said that it would probably be a good idea, and I've heard from a lot of people that it isn't really good to jump around so much between all the niches, so I'm going to be splitting it up. Overall, it's just been a really fun journey actually doing these WoW Beginner's Guides videos. I've learned a lot. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm trying and getting there, and I want to get better. So ultimately, I just want to say thank you so much for everyone who checked out any of my World of Warcraft content over the years, and thanks for watching my beginner's guides and stuff, and I'm excited for this new era, and I'm not sure how much I'll upload on both the YouTube channels, but whatever it is, I'm excited for it, and I would really appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel. I'll link it down below. I think I still need to set up stuff like banners and about me and profile pictures, but I'm going to get to it shortly, but I would imagine within the next week or so I'll start moving some stuff over. And yeah, a long outro, but if you actually stuck around and care, I guess you're getting kind of a sneak peek into what is to come, because I'm going to do a separate official video talking about this. But anyways, I'm going to stop rambling because I could go on forever. I hope that you guys are having a lovely day, and if you have any questions at all about like World of Warcraft lingo, if I missed anything, if I can explain anything, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. See you next time. Bye!